welcome to my YouTube video on the Rise of Romantasy and literature and social media. I love talking about books and we'll probably be here for a while. So get comfy, grab a cup of coffee, and let's dive right into it. If you are active in the bookish community right now, whether that be BookTok, BookTube, Bookstagram, I'm sure you've heard of the term romantasy. I mean, just look at the Google trend for the term romantasy. It's soaring right now. It doesn't take a publishing professional to recognize the rise of romantasy in literature and on social media. It is dominating the bestseller charts right now, and it is taking over BookTok. According to Neil Freeman at the Morning Brew, sales of romantasy novels hit a record of 454 million in 2023 and are projected to soar to 610 million this year. It's no secret that romantasy has become a cultural phenomenon that is enjoyed by all ages throughout the world. Many have been swept off their feet into fantastical, magical realms that contain hints of classic romantic trope. Before we go any farther, let's define what romantasy is. In its simplest form, romantasy is a portmanteau of romance and fantasy, and I'm sure you could have guessed that by now. A romantasy novel will contain those fantastical, magical realms with a main plot of a romantic trope. Basically, what sets apart romantasy from just fantasy is its primary focus on the romantic relationship that takes place within that novel. The romance drives the plot. You cannot take that romance out, because if you did, the plot would completely fall apart. Another way of saying this is that there is some sort of evil within the plot of a romantasy novel. This evil can be a war or a villain, and the primary focus of this evil is to drive the romantic relationship between two or more characters apart. Basically, the evil is not the main focus of the story as it would be in maybe a fantasy novel. Instead, the main focus of that story is the romance between the two or more characters. Moldrem says it best. While enemies serve to add tension and conflict to the narrative, they also become motivation for character growth and the development of strong interpersonal relationships within the romantasy genre. Let's hone in on the romance found in romantasy novels. If you're a previous romance reader, you know that romance novels typically follow a specific structure, and they usually always end with a happily ever after or happy for now. But romantasy takes this and twists the genre because it's completely its own. With that being said, romantasy does not have to follow the happily ever after or happy for now structure of a typical romance novel. Therefore, romantasy can contain tragic love stories. Similar to romance novels, romantasy follows very specific tropes that you can usually find within all romantasy books that are published. Of course, not all, but most of them do have these tropes. So, our first is enemies to lovers. So many people absolutely love that one. Forbidden love, fated mates. There is one particular author that is very well known for doing fated mates, and we will touch on her later on in this video. I'm sure you already know who it is if you're very familiar with the BookTok community. Love triangles and secret identity. Also, honing in on the social media aspect of this overall video, you will often see romantasy recommendations fall under these specific trope-like categories. You may be wondering where you would find romantasy on the shelves in a bookstore. Typically, and most often, they'll be found in the fantasy section of the bookstore. Sometimes you might find that little outlier that might reside in the romance section, but typically they are going to be in the fantasy section. So, if I talk about any books today and you're kind of interested in them, I think you'll be able to find them in the fantasy section. Using that as a gateway, let's talk about some of the books. One of the most popular romantasy titles is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is the new cover. Some might know it by this older cover, but this is what you'll see when you go to the bookstore now. According to CNN's Andrew, Maas has 3 books on the New York Times top 10 combined print and ebook fiction bestseller list. I would consider Maas to be the gateway into reading romantasy for several readers. Her books contain popular and very familiar romantic tropes, and they have a great balance of world building and romance. So it makes a great gateway into the romantasy genre for all readers. With that being said, her book is often recommended to romance readers who are trying to get into the fantasy or romantasy genre in general. At its heart, this series follows Feyre as she is captured and forced to live in a magical Fey realm, a world of stunning beauty, terrifying secrets, and a terrifying curse. The handsome High Fae Lord Tamlin holds the key to breaking this curse, but the journey is far from simple. Along the way, Feyre becomes entangled with Tamlin while fighting off the allure of the High Lord of the Night Court, Rhysand. Another popular romantasy novel is by Rebecca Yarros, and it is Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing has spent 42 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, while its sequel, Iron Flame, is in its 5th week. Similar to Mass, Yarros is insanely popular on the charts. Specifically, she has taken BookTok by storm. As for the synopsis of this book, her novel contains familiar romantic tropes set in a war college that has tremendously high stakes and dragons. At its heart, the story follows Violet as she enters Basgiath War College to potentially pair with a dragon. Violet makes worthwhile friendships, restores family bonds, and finds a magnetic and dangerous attraction to Xaden. Fourth Wing is a novel of high stakes, insane tension, and love that burns as brightly as a dragon's fire. As you can see, the descriptions of both of those very popular romantasy novels are very, very, very similar and give a great baseline into the structure of a romantasy novel. Basically, both romantasies contain a fantastical setting where the story primarily focuses on the romantic relationship between two or more characters. Now that you have an understanding of the two most popular romantasy novels, I'm going to touch on just a few more, but I'm just going to give you the title. I'm not going to go into the synopsis of all these stories, just to save time. The first one that I have is From Blood and Ash. I don't have this book with me right now, but this is a great romantasy title. The second one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is also a very great romantasy. And last but not least, I have Throne of the Fallen. This is another great one. You may be wondering if romantasy and all these books that I've mentioned are just a new subgenre, because it's not a standardized genre yet. Despite romantasy gaining traction in recent years, there are older titles that could fall under the romantasy genre. The first of those is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, published in 1991. This also has a TV series that might be more familiar to some of you, but it does somewhat fall under this romantasy category. It is formally published as a historical fiction, but it does have romantasy elements in there. Another book that could fall under the romantasy genre is Graceling by Christian Cashore, and it was originally published in 2008. So this brings me to my overarching question. Why has romantasy gotten so popular? First and foremost, romantasy can act as a gateway genre for all readers. Romantasy can introduce romance readers to the fantasy genre, or vice versa, romantasy can introduce fantasy readers to the romance genre. Or, in some cases, romantasy captures new readers who are just diving into books for the first time and getting entranced and loving the experience. Whatever the case may be, romantasy provides a break from the traditional romance or fantasy story by combining the best elements of both genres. The immersive world building, high stakes, complex magic systems, quests, and high tension of fantasy serves as an amazing backdrop for a compelling and desirable romance. Eli Kusini says it best. More typical romances tend to value lightness, escapism, and pleasurable predictability. Romantasy values danger, twists, and immersion, and uses violence or the threat of it to build sexual tension. Moving on, we may be able to connect romantasy's popularity to its empowerment of women. Of course, this is not to say that other genres are not doing this very thing as well. However, for the sake of this video, we are focusing just on the romantasy genre. It is very apparent that the bulk of romantasy authors and readers are women. It is a subgenre written for women by women, very similar to the romance genre. On the surface level, romantasy contains strong feminist protagonists and relates to the female experiences and desires. Romantasy contains an emphasis on female pleasure and women's fantasies, especially the spicy books, as TikTok has coined it. And romantasy contains romantic elements that women desire. Kathleen Farrar at The Guardian says it best. The genre's appeal may also be down to its bold heroines and strong yet nuanced female characters. These stories have attracted huge numbers of female readers who may have previously not have felt particularly welcome or catered for in the fantasy market. Christina Clark Brown, also from The Guardian, says romantasy allows women to have it all. There is no damsel who needs saving, but rather women who are allowed to be powerful, go on epic quests, and find love with a partner who is an equal to them in every way. In relation to public humanities and this feminist literary theory, romantasy has strong, diverse female protagonists, complex character development, it challenges gender stereotypes, and focuses on female agency. As a result, romantasy empowers female readers through the actions of their complex female protagonists. As a woman, you can't help but think of yourself in that situation. You want to insert yourself into a world where you have agency over your own decisions, agency over who you're with, and you're not defined by who you're with. So a lot of women might be reading these stories and self-inserting themselves during a time where we're going through a lot of different political, social, and economic changes. Which brings us to our third and final reason as to why romantasy has become so popular. Romantasy immerses readers into a feel-good, positive, and desirable experience by combining the escapism and surrealism elements of fantasy and the romantic desire and idealism elements of romance. For a large majority of people, reading is seen as a form of escapism. In terms of our world, the political climate, including wars, environmental concerns, increased cost of living, and a previous pandemic, readers are looking for a feel-good, positive experience, and they can find that within all of these romantasy novels. The combination of a badass female character that saves the day and overcomes all odds, combined with the romantic nature that people would love to experience, creates a novel that readers are imagining themselves in, aka escapism. Roberts, an editor at HarperCollins, says it best. Romance readers have discovered that romantasy has all the tropes that they adore, but set in a world they can escape to and get lost in. Romantasy takes the best elements of fantasy and the best elements of romance and combines them into one, creating an amazing and immersive reading experience. We can see this form of escapism and desire to be in these worlds through events such as the Starfall Ball on BookTok. Let's turn our attention to romantasy in social media. It is clearly no secret that romantasy is very present within the online BookTok, BookTube, and Bookstagram communities. BookTok has encouraged several individuals to rekindle their love for reading. BookTok itself, as a hashtag, has 40.6 million posts. Romantasy itself, as a hashtag, has 589,000 posts. And videos that recommend books, specifically romantasy, get millions of views. Therefore, it is no secret that BookTok has fueled the virality of the romantasy genre. BookTok creates a sense of community among readers and new readers, especially women. As a result of this BookTok community, publishers have responded by publishing new novels that fall into the romantasy subgenre. We can also give credit to social media such as BookTok, BookTube, and Bookstagram for promoting the rise of romantasy. So this brings us to one of the final questions. Is romantasy here to stay? It is no secret that the world of literature is ever evolving, creating a never-ending cycle of trends according to the world around us. I mean, just think back to the early 2000s. We had several vampire, werewolf, love triangle stories such as Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. Or just a few short years later, we had a huge rise in dystopian novels such as The Hunger Games and Divergent and The Maze Runner. The reasoning behind these trend shifts is usually an indication of pop culture and current social events. The world around us influences the genres that we reach for as readers. With this being said, it is a bit hard to predict what the world will be like in 5 to 10 years from now, so I cannot predict very accurately what genres will be popular. However, for the foreseeable future, my answer is yes. Romantasy is here to stay. Romantasy has created a large community, predominantly of women. It has invited new readers and veteran readers alike. It creates a form of escapism that we are all looking for, and it empowers women. Readers will continue reaching for romantasy. Social media users will continue posting in this community, and publishers will continue pushing this genre in the literature sphere in the next couple of years. We have reached the end of this video, so let's summarize everything up. At the start of this video, we drove straight into the world of romantasy. It is so apparent that romantasy has become a cultural phenomenon, with huge sales topping the charts. It is enjoyed by all ages throughout the world. We defined romantasy, touched on popular romantasy novels, explored why romantasy has gotten so popular, such as A Gateway for Readers, feminist literary theory, and A Hopeful Escape. We examined Romantasy on BookTok and reflected on Romantasy's future. Overall, the rise of Romantasy and literature and social media has been a complete joy to explore with you all. Please leave your comments down below because I would love to hear your opinions on everything said in this video, and I would love to hear anything that you have to add. Romantasy has introduced so many people to reading, and you never know if Romantasy might just be your cup of tea. So try it out. Or maybe it's just romance, or just fantasy, or maybe it's even thrillers. Whatever it may be, with literature, especially Romantasy, the possibilities are endless. Thank you for being here today. Again, please let me know your thoughts down below. I would love to hear them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!